Come on in live. Hope y'all having a good day. Let's do this. Sorry, I am a few minutes late. Oh, so I apologize in advance. I don't take your time lightly. I don't take mine either. So, so please forgive me for being a few minutes late, but duty called. So, real quick, I just want to give you guys a second to come on in. And as you come in, make sure you hit, first of all, make sure you say hello. Then make sure you hit that share button. Again, make sure you say hello and hit that share button. What's going on, my brother Way? Derek, how you doing? Jay, how you doing? Y'all come on in. Like I said, hit the share button, say hello. And of course, as on any of these lives, make sure that if you've got questions or comments or commentary, that you feel free to put it into the comments. All right. So I titled this one, Tyrese, Russell Wilson, Future and Fathers. Because we need to talk, y'all. We got to talk. So for those who don't know, let me give you a little background. Today, I saw, what's going on, Jay? Derek, how you doing, brother? So today, I saw the video from Tyrese, call it what you want, breaking down, talking about, what he was doing, what was going on with his situation, and basically from the little bit of research I saw, apparently there's some type of custody issue that's going on with him and the mother of his child. Again, I don't know. This is just from preliminary research. I really don't. For those who don't know, y'all know I really don't follow people like that, except for if we're talking about it on the radio. But I have my own business, so I really don't pay attention to others like that. But so apparently, and then so from the video, Tyrese, my good brother, was breaking down a little bit. He was having a moment, and so he said basically that he hadn't seen his daughter in 2 months. Talked about that it was hurting him that he hadn't seen his daughter in 2 months, and so that's kind of the story. From what I read or from what I saw in some of the comments, apparently there was something about, again, hey D'Amica, how you doing? Kenya, how you doing? Serenity, how you doing? Anitra, how you doing? Rhonda Lane, how you doing? Again, guys, make sure you say hello and then hit that share button for me too, okay? So, like we said, so my understanding from what I read in some of the comments, there was something happened where he, I guess, spanked the daughter or something like that. I really don't know, so I'm not going to confirm anything. I really don't know what happened. But all I saw was the brother was broke down. If you guys saw the video, y'all saw the brother was broke down. Then a couple of days ago, there was once again the reemergence of, he's mad at The Rock too. That's right. But he's mad at The Rock because for some reason, I guess The Rock's role in Fast and Furious has now started a movie of its own, and they're shooting that video, which is causing the next Fast and Furious to go on hold, which means the brother is not getting the check. So I can kind of understand why he's a little upset at that. But anyway, be that as it may. So again, a couple of days ago, also there was another reemergence of the story of Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, who is married to Sierra, the artist, the singer/dancer, and Sierra has a child by Future, who is a rapper. That's what they call him. Anyway, I digress. But in the story, little Future, the baby, is wearing a Russell Wilson jersey, and so of course men and some women feel that it was disrespectful for little Future to do that because it crosses the line, et cetera, blah blah blah. So that's kind of the background of, and this Future Sierra thing. Yeah, he's a mumble rapper. Is been going on for a while, since the two of them have been dating. So today I kind of want to just take a few seconds and, looking at those two scenarios, kind of talk about really fathers and this whole relationship issue that we really need to kind of take a stab at. First all, let me say that I am not one to. I am a judge. I'm going to judge, but I'm not going to condemn. So I'm not going to sit here and condemn Future or Russell or Tyrese or anything like that. I'm just not. I'm not going to do that. So let me throw that out there. But what I am going to say is that the first thing I want to talk about is that, listen, when we have children, I say we because I have a child. I have a 5-year-old son. And I'm divorced, so me and his mother are not together anymore. But when we have children, the child becomes the priority. And so when I say that, I go into it with the understanding, not saying that, again, blindly or saying that loosely, but saying that when I make that statement, it's something that every day I have to live with. I have to make decisions around. And as a father, I'm not going to make this statement I don't make that statement as someone who doesn't have to make those decisions. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and fellas, this is something that I think that fellas and men and women can do a good job of pretending like that we always make the right decisions. There is no playbook on how to be a parent. There is no playbook on how to be a mother. There is no playbook on how to be a father. It's just not there. We do have some wisdom, and if you're a Christian, in the Bible, there is some wisdom that's available to us through people who have done this. What's going on, Pops? How you doing? Zaria, how you doing? Quill, how you doing, little brother? And so I think we've got to, even those are there, it doesn't mean that we still don't have some places that we can grow, that it's going to be easy, or that, again, that the decision-making process is going it can be easier if you have wisdom, but that it's going to be easy and that you're always going to make the right decision. But with that, we've got to come to a place that, number one, let me address this, that we stop and that we don't look at this as a situation just from the perspective of how it hurts us as parents. As parents, there are going to be some moments where as parents where we've got to, as I call it, take one for the team, meaning take one for the sake of our children. And I don't say that meaning that we have to be abused or take abuse, but there are some things that you as a mother, there are some things as a father, you're going to have to divorce. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read Courtney's, or how to be divorced. God didn't design it that way. That's true. I'm gonna get to that in a second, Courtney. But that there are going to be moments that we do have to take one for the team. And to Courtney's point, what he said is that God gives us a playbook because He didn't design us to be divorced. That's true. That's very true. It's one of the reasons that when we get divorced, one of the things that we don't count, the cost that we don't count. We don't count the cost of what it really feels like, whether you are a man, or a mother, or whether you are a father, what it feels like to either have to miss your child or to have to carry more of the pressure that is necessary for that you really aren't designed to carry. And that's not taking away anything from a mother. That's not taking away anything from a father. But when God gives us children, it's important that both the mother and the father are present, and that every possibility is made, an opportunity is made for the mother and for the father to input what the child needs. And so again, so in this scenario, we're talking about specifically the Sierra Russell Wilson. I keep wanting to call this man Russell Westbrook, but the Russell Wilson and Future scenario. We can't fault. Lord Jesus, we can't fault this Sierra for being glad that there is a good dude who's there to help her raise their child, and so we should be celebrating the fact that there's a brother, and again, we don't really know what's going on, but that there is another man who seemingly cares for this young man, because this young man is in the presence of what seems like a good dude. However, let me say this to every father, and so I need to say something to fathers, even if you are in the role, and this is something that you just got to settle within yourself. If you choose not to be, or if you're not with the mother of your child, you don't ever have to worry about, as a father, being replaced. You never have to worry. Let me say this. As a father, you never have to worry about being replaced, because as a son, the desire is always going to want to be for your father. Meaning you're going to want to know who he is. You're going to know where he is. You're going to want to know things about his identity. You're going to want to know about his decision-making process. You're going to want to know things about him. And so as a father, you have to, and this is one of those moments where sometimes in those situations where the relationship might not be good, that you might have to endure for a moment just for the sake of trying to establish and maintain a relationship with your child to the best of your abilities. Again, I know there's some situations that's almost impossible, that it is impossible, but even in those, position yourself so that when your child is ready or old enough or is prepared to reach out or to be able to maintain a relationship with you without having that other person there, that you can do that. So we can't look at their scenario. We can't look at a situation like that and say that because there is another man there, that this young man is not going to want his father. That's just not the case. So I'm saying that to say that as a father, listen, we've got to move beyond. And this is something, my father's on here. He can tell you I am not lying when I'm not, anything I'm telling you, I'm not lying. That it's difficult. I've had moments where I have had moments where you want to just be like, you know what, forget it. Other choice, non-Jesus words that you want to say. I'm done. I don't want to put up with this. I don't want to be around this. This is too difficult. This is too hard. Brothers, this is going to happen. You're going to feel like that. But guess what? Your son needs you. And more important, and just as important, not more important, but just as important, you need your son. It is your sons, your daughters have a huge, huge role to play in not just our maturing, but into our understanding of how we understand ourselves, and how we see the world, and how we they give us that extra push for if y'all who have children on here, y'all understand what I'm saying, that there are some days and there are some things that you really only learn after seeing it through the eyes of your child. And there is nothing. There is nothing. You don't want to put anything in the way of being a father to your child. The other part of that is that a lot of this as men is just really a matter of us walking in a level of humility that we might be uncomfortable with. Sometimes it is uncomfortable to hear some of the things that are said about you. It is uncomfortable to have to endure something, but guess what? It's in a lot of instances, it's our decision. So this is why, to Courtney's point, that we shouldn't have children outside of marriage, and we shouldn't get divorced. Those are part of again, when I said counting up the cost parts that we don't necessarily take into consideration when we make those decisions, or sometimes we just don't know. So again, it's not an issue of, it's just that, listen, it's done, and now we've got to learn how to move forward and be good parents, good co-parents for our sons and for our daughters. So again, well, first of all, like I said, we got to stop trying to blame. We're not going to blame anybody for it. Second thing I want to say is, again, is that we want to put our children in the best possible position to be successful. Our sons and our daughters need us as fathers to be present as much as possible. I don't mean just monetarily present, but I'm talking about presence. There is something about the presence of a father in a child's life that gives them something that no one else can give them. Mom, again, this takes away nothing from the mother. There are things that a child can only get from their mother. There are certain things that I can only get from my mother, but there are other certain things that I can only get from my father, and that's with everybody. So we need fathers to be present. We need them to provide the security and the safety. We need fathers to provide the encouragement. We need fathers to provide, again, sometimes just that presence of saying, listen, you can do it. There's something about hearing and I always say there's something about hearing the bass or the authority that is in a man's voice that can shift something in the soul of a child. I'm going to say that there is something about the authority that is in the voice of a man, of a father, that can shift something in a child. And you might not be able to be there financially like you want to. You might not be able to always be, but you can be there. That child can know who their father is, who named them, why they named them, where they get what they get, why they do certain things. Just being in your presence, sometimes for children is enough. Sometimes as a child, sometimes for me, I can remember times where, and it's kind of sometimes was embarrassing, but there were times, guys, that like I would be having a bad day or not being sure about what was going on in a certain scenario, and the simple fact of being able to just turn. First of all, my father never missed a game. And if y'all ever heard me talk about this, sometimes, again, it was pretty embarrassing, some of the stuff he would do in the games. But my father never missed a game. He never missed a choir thing. He never missed any of that. And so there would be times where I would be confused and not know what to do. And just be able, the mere fact of just to be able to turn and look and see that he's there lets me know that, listen, no matter what happens, your father is here. You have somebody who is in your corner. And our kids need to see that, man. Our kids need to know that no matter what they do, that first of all, there is an expectation, but secondly, that no matter what they do, that there's going to be someone that who can protect them, who can love them, who can be there for them, who is going to walk them through the very uncomfortable decisions, who's going to be there to help train them, who's going to be there to help them do through some of the hard decisions that they have to make. So again, like I said, man, we just got to, as men, the other thing that concerns me, and here's the part that concerns me, is that it seems as though we have lost, how do I want to say this? I'm trying to say this. No, it seems as though that at times, though we live in a culture that is not often the most sensitive to the male condition, I'll say that. That's the word I'll use. We also sometimes, I think, as men, are getting to a point where I think sometimes we stay there for too long. And I'm not. So let me balance that by also saying I'm not giving you the get over it statement. Because that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying get over it. Your feelings don't matter. Your how you feel. The fact that it is very difficult. That that in a lot of cases, I know a lot of brothers who are working 2 jobs to make sure they pay child support, and then after they work both of their jobs, they're still making it to their parenting time. They want to spend more time with their So I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I'm saying is that we can't stay there. We can't stay at the point of woe is me, what am I going to do now? We've got to get to the point, guys, where we say, listen, this is a part of my responsibility, and I'm going to I'm going to get through this. I can do this. And for me, let me give you this. For me, what helps me is to surround myself with other men who can encourage me through that. Because again, we're not going to pretend that every day is easy and that this is hard. There are a lot of moments where it's very difficult. There are a lot of moments where if you're not careful, the voices of the enemy are telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not man enough, that you're not that you're not a good father, that you're not this and that. And I'm telling you, all of those are lies, and that you got to be able to handle those and deal with them appropriately because they are lies. You are a good father. If you're present in your child's life, you are a good father, and your child knows that you are present, and your child will not. It's not going to. It doesn't realize what you can't do. They just know that you're there. And so we gotta kind of get through that emotion and in order to learn how to enjoy the children that God has blessed us to be. So, all right, last thing, and I'm gonna let y'all go. The last thing I wanna throw out there is that we've got to return to a place where that we as men and women who raise children do this together. I don't know. We can suspect, but I'm not old enough to give probably an accurate diagnosis. But I don't know what happened to the whole village mentality in our community. But I do know that it's needed. That it's again needed that we all, as a community, come together and say that listen, that we're not going to continue to allow our sons and our daughters to just do whatever they want, that we're not going to see mothers and fathers just doing anything and not saying that that it's expected that if you have a child, it's expected that if you are a mother, it's expected that if you are a father, that you are not spending time with your child. And again, we can't force that, obviously, but what we can do is have the discussions with the people who are in our circles to say, listen, man, come on, dude. I ain't seen, what's going on with you and your child. I haven't, seen them in a while. And it might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a needed conversation because we need each other. And the truth of the matter is we need each other like we've never needed each other before. We are in a state of emergency. And if we continue to go in the path that we're going, then things aren't going to get better. We're not going to see less incarceration. We're not going to see less unemployment. We're not going to see less murders and less, sexual assaults. We're not going to see less of that unless we say that we are going to come together as a community and we're going to demand that there be a standard that is kept among us as adults and enforce that. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for you to be a father and not spend time with your children. It's not acceptable to be a mother and to withhold parenting time from the father. It's not acceptable to not financially support your children if you can. It's just not acceptable, and it's not acceptable to not speak positively into the lives of our children. That's just not acceptable, and it's something that we've got to decide that we want to end today. So my last things I'm gonna say is this: when it comes to Sierra and Russell and Future, I'm glad Russell is there. My prayer is very simple: that I don't know enough about their scenario to say I don't know how much time Future spends with little Future, but what I do know is that little Future needs as many positive male role models that he can get. I know that the burden, that the heavy part of raising a son, especially later in the years, does fall on a father, and that a father is needed in order to help sons get through some of the major issues that he's going to deal with. I do know that when it comes to Tyrese, that he is going to need that the brother needs some prayer, and I hope somebody got to him. I hope that that looking at his scenario helps some of us make better decisions. I hope that we decide that that it's just not acceptable to sleep with anybody. Again, I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying that in terms of understanding that there are causes, there are effects to the things that we do. Because again, there are effects to the things that we do. And let me say this one last thing too. what you all saw today, for those of you all who think that there are a lot of guys out there who just don't care about their kids and seem to walk away, what a lot of you saw today, if you watched Tyrese, was what you saw was a man who cares so much for his children, or for his child in this instance, that is the way that he responded. Most men, a lot of men, a lot of our responses is, instead of us going on Instagram, Facebook, whatever he did, whatever video, wherever he put the video, and saying something and crying, you see a lot of guys turn hard-hearted towards their situation and just walk away. And so when you say, when people say, oh, this person just doesn't care, sometimes there are some that just don't care. But a lot of times what happens is, because we don't have the proper, the proper whatever to know how to handle or to navigate through those situations. So the proper wisdom, the proper resources, the proper relationships, the proper emotional develop, whatever you want to call it, we might not have that. Then what winds up happening is that we just say, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna walk away. And so that is something, what you saw today is something that every man with an ounce of soul goes through or does at some point when he misses his child. You might not ever see it. Most of us will never tell you, but I can promise you, from the hundreds of men that I've had this discussion with, that at some point we all get to that point that you saw today. And so, fellas, if you are considering, if you're at that point where you're saying, listen, you know what, I don't like her, I don't want to be with her anymore, forget it, I just, it just be me and my child and blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, what you saw today what you saw with Tyrese could very well be something that you experience, because that's a part of, again, the effect. That can be a part of the effect of the decision that you make to get divorced. And I'm not saying that to scare you not to get divorced, but I'm saying that sometimes we've got to count the cost of the decisions that we make, because when we make decisions, they don't just affect us, they affect everybody who's around us. So I hope this was, somewhat informational. I'm getting a ton of questions about this. So I just said, let me just address it the best way I could. But yeah, I hope this helps you. Again, I just think that, again, that we've got to do better by our children. As men, we've got to lead. As mothers, we've got to, again, I know you all carry, I salute y'all. I salute you. Y'all do the thing. But again, we've still got to make the best decision for our children. And the best decision is not always the one that makes us comfortable. Sometimes the best decision is the decision that makes us uncomfortable. So, all right, y'all, that's all I got to say. I got to get back to reading. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you hit the share button. If you got comments, please put them in the comment. Again, I definitely am praying for Tyrese. I'm praying for Future. I'm praying for Russell. I'm praying for Lil Future. I'm praying for Sierra. I'm praying for you if you are in this scenario. So, because, again, this is not an easy scenario. It's not one that we can just easily, cast condemnation or anything like that. But it is something that we do have to deal with, because, again, our children need us. And so I'll leave you with the words, one of my passages in the book of Malachi. He says that he prays that the hearts of the father would be returned to the sons, and that the hearts of the sons would be returned to the father. So my prayer is, if you are a father who is not in your child's life, or if you have a child who chooses not to be in your life, that their heart would be turned back towards you, so that you can establish a relationship that is both beneficial for you and for your children, and for the co-parent, for the other parent as well. So y'all have a good night. I love each and every one of you. I want nothing but God's best for you. I hope that you receive this in love. And last but definitely not least, I hope you receive this with the idea that if this is your situation, that you would be committed to being a good father, a good leader, a good person, a good mother, a good person for our community. All right? Good night.